Who is this? Frog's Master. Wait a minute, what was that guy named again? Frog's Master. Is this actually the one and only and true Frog's Master? It is I, Frog's Master. Hello everyone, it's Frog's Master. And this is the sort of thing that's simply unpredictable. You know, you wouldn't expect things like this to be the things that come off as, oh, so nostalgic, when maybe a ton of people didn't even have them back then. Yeah, that's basically 100% how these work for me. And I'm very sure it's like that for a lot of other people too. Although, it could be for one reason, but we'll get into that in a second. Of course, I'm talking about these dancing Santas. Now, not the plush dancing Santas, the plastic ones. The ones that are usually on a base, like that, or like that. And some could be gemmy, but it's more so the ones that aren't gemmy. The ones like this, by Blue Ridge or Christmas Fantasy. Either or. Well, I guess really just or. And then you got this guy. Now, he is not Christmas Fantasy. He is a Smart Industrial Group. But he, of course, as we all know, has that same exact kind of charm that these ones give off, even though they're a different company. But it's just because they're very similar in a lot of ways. And I know there's the whole pack thing, but even still, and it doesn't have a base. But those guys, there's still something with them. Then you got the ones over here. Jingle Bell Rock. Rocking around the Christmas tree. They're just, I mean, three of these here are the Christmas Fantasy ones. That's just what I refer to the company as, because the word Christmas is in it. Well, yeah, that pretty much is the reason. So those two. Then you got the Holly Jolly Christmas, or Have a Holly Jolly Christmas. I think it's, Have a Holly Jolly Christmas. This Santa. A big favorite. I think it's a lot of people's favorite one. It might just be mine. I don't know. It's very hard to rank the three. Rock Santa Collectibles. That's what their series is called. But still, the Smart Industrial one here is also very good, you know? But it is hard to say if these Smart Industrial Group ones are better than these Christmas Fantasy ones. It is very hard. Now, I think the one thing most will agree with is the Gemmy Santas, which a lot of them look like this. Then they were changed to be kind of smaller, I think, but the faces weren't, their faces do look a lot different on the later ones from a couple years later, but they're still plastic, and they still move relatively the same. It's just their size is different. That's the biggest thing, the size. And I think some of them weren't on a base, but most of them still were. The Gemmy Santas kind of have that weird nostalgic feel. But you know what? They don't have it that much, in my opinion. These have it way more. than one like that. But that's still good. I'm not calling that bad at all. That is still a good item. I'm just saying these ones are definitely better. So what is it with these dancing Santas, right? Why do they feel so ancient when, I mean, they are kind of old. They're like 2 decades old, but they just feel so much older and feel so much bigger in a way and so much more important. Well, I do think that these types of Santas sold very well. Not big mouth Billy Bass well, but pretty well. There's a lot of things you could say that make these things, give off the feel that they do. You could say it's the look because their look is really nice. You could say it's the movement because the movement is usually always smooth and these things hardly break. I'm excluding the Jemmy Santas, remember that. And this is saying the same for the Smart Industrial Santas, pretty much. These Santas, like I said, they usually don't break, but it's also just that they look unique. Like the different ones that there are, they've got their different style. Some might move similar. Actually, a ton of these dancing Santas, even those ones from other companies, like TL Toys and all those other ones. There's a lot of them, but a lot of them do move the same, but sometimes the movement is slower, sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's very on sync with the music, other times it isn't, and it's just more simple, stuff like that. Then there's these Smart Industrial ones, which have those different modes, and they have the present pack thing. You got some of them that are like a duet, Santa and the Mrs. Claus. Now, the Smart Industrial ones, they look a lot more similar for the different ones that they are. They do look pretty similar. It's just like the vest here is different sometimes. But still, Smart Industrial ones, the different ones have different songs, which that's the same for the Christmas Fantasy ones, but the Smart Industrial ones with their different songs, those songs just feel even more diverse than, say, these. Especially with these Smart Industrial ones, because the certain Santa that everyone who's watching this basically loves, totally not infamous, a very famous Santa, the It's Christmas Time one. That's an original song. Oh, trust me, I've looked. It is. It's an original song. Just like the Frogs, It's Christmas Time, that's an original song too. But those two songs aren't connected. No way. Just a coincidence. Now, these songs and these Santas are not original, but these songs are just so timeless and classic. Plus, it's the official songs. They're not covers. That's another reason as to why these Santas are thought of so well and are, for some reason, nostalgic to people. It's because of the songs. Not just the movement that always looks so nice, or just how they're detailed very well. Like with these beards, especially the beards, the shirt. See that detail? The hands have the detail. Pants even. Shoes, they got some detail. And there's their bases, which they kind of detail. See, look at this. Look at it. I mean, there is some detail on that. I think their hats And down here are a little like faded, but whatever. Also, the faces on some of these Christmas fantasy Santas seem to be a little bit different for some reason. You can just kind of tell, or just that the colors on the faces are a little different. I don't know. Just another thing that makes them more unique from each other. Also, just the audio. It's so clear and nice and loud if you have the volume up all the way, which is another thing. You could just have that volume all the way up or lowered. I mean, you can control this Santa basically to how you want it. You got a lot of different options. I know it's kind of just like 3, but you'd be surprised. I mean, 3 is enough for these Santas to make them the way you want them. But there's the other thing, of course, which is, well, Joe Bean videos. His videos of the Santas. That is probably a lot of people's reason as to why the Santas are, nostalgic and why they like them so much. It's because of Joe Bean videos, and I'm sure it's like that for some people. I mean, that is how I found out about these. It's basically how everyone did in the Jemmy community. It's because of Joe Bean videos. So technically, I guess you'd have to say it was Joe Bean videos that made these things have the nostalgic feel, but I wouldn't want to say that it was that, really. Joe Bean videos is just how I discovered them. I wouldn't say that, I mean, Joe Bean videos is unboxing videos, especially of the Santas and the other Christmas stuff. Those are nostalgic videos. I think a lot of people agree there, but those aren't necessarily what makes the Santas nostalgic, in my opinion. Even though that doesn't really make a lot of sense, you'd kind of have to say that is why, but I think it's just that these Santas get everything so right to the point where they're perfect, basically, to where they feel as if they're just so nostalgic. To me, and I don't know if anyone else is like this, I feel as if there are some. These things give off this sort of feeling as if you've had one of them before in the past. Even though you have no memory of one whatsoever, you just feel like there's some trapped memory in there somewhere in your head. Not with the Jemmy ones, but with these. And this guy. It's just, there's a memory you can't remember, and it's of these Santas. They just seem like the kind of thing that maybe you had when you were little. You don't know. But after seeing the video, it feels so familiar, even though it's something you've never seen before. It has such a familiar feel to it that you think you had it before. Who knows, really? It's just something about these Santas. It's just something. We'll never really know what it is, I guess. You know what, though? There's also the obvious. Because Christmas. I mean, especially around this time, I would say these Santas feel extra special. So maybe it's just Christmas, simply. And hearing their Christmas songs and their Christmas looks, seeing it all, maybe it's that. Even still, it always feels like there's something more. All of this is meant in a good way, of course, because it's these guys, the dancing Santas. Peace.